Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in this video. As a follow-up, in the last video I discussed adding articulation to a piece of music, and in this video, as I promised you last time, I'm going to add a bit more to the same piece of music, this Mozart Duet. I'm going to use the same music, but this time I'm going to add dynamics. Dynamics can also look very confusing on a piece of sheet music. It can make it look incredibly complicated, especially if you put articulation as well as dynamics into the same piece of sheet music. It can look absolutely mind-boggling and quite complicated. But again, I hope in this video to explain what dynamics look like on a piece of sheet music, what you can do with it or what you can't do with it or whatever. And I hope this just takes the mystery away of a piece of sheet music. What are dynamics? Dynamics has all to do with playing soft or playing louder or playing stronger or softer. So together with articulation, like playing notes connected or playing disconnected, or legato, staccato, at the same time you can also apply a bit of dynamics. So the basic dynamics, there's basically two ways. You play it softer or you play it louder. There's only two ways. But the confusing bit is that you can go from soft to loud, from loud to soft, and sometimes you see enormous arrows under a piece of sheet music, more lines, etc. But in principle, there's only, like there was with articulation, there's only legato and staccato, connected, disconnected. And it's something similar with dynamics. So you play softly or louder, and anything in between. The first thing I need to explain is a few letters. Dynamics are usually written under the score, so under the staff. So you've got your staff here, and the dynamics are usually written underneath. Articulation can be different sometimes, because if the bows can be over the notes, but they can also be under the notes, so you find them on either way. Dynamics are usually written underneath the staff. First of all, I need to explain two letters, the P and an F. Sometimes in a piece of music you see the letter a little lowercase p, often in a thick bold font, like a P or an F. P means piano, softly, and F means forte, means louder, stronger. So P and F. P, play it slowly, softly, and F, play it louder. And of course, in a piece of music, again, it's the combination of different dynamics, the change of dynamics, going from soft to loud and the other way around, that makes music more interesting and gives it yet another dimension. So, starting with this piece of by Mozart, again, the same piece. I haven't printed out the ones that I made last time with all the articulation, so I'm starting again with the blank, with near enough the blank sheet music. At the end of this video, and when I post it, I'll put another link again in the description underneath, where you can find the same score, only this time with the articulation added, as well as also the dynamics added to it. So I'm just going to explain what that looks like and what it means. First of all, we start this piece, when we play it softly. So at the beginning, the first note, underneath there, you see a letter P, softly. Soft can be in different levels. So P is usually play it a bit softer than you normally would. But sometimes you see 2 P's or 3 P's. So P soft, PP even softer, PPP even softer than that. So you can get various gradation levels in that softness. And the same goes for F, forte, means play it louder. So F can be loud, FF, play it extra loud, FFF, go mad, you know, something like that. So P and F, remember those 2 letters. P, soft, and F is loud. Piano and forte. Again, that's all to do with the sheet music originating in Italy. Right, so now to explain how this works, Mozart wants you to start to play this very gently. So there's a P there. Ta, do, da, do, dee, do. Not too loud, just gently, softly. But also Mozart wants you to increase the volume to this note, and then these 2 notes are playing softly again. Just to show you how that looks like, and when you look at it you think, ah, hang on, that makes sense. So we start softly with a P, then we increase the volume, play it louder and louder until there, and then here you're playing those 2 notes softly again. So here's what this looks like. Here we are. And this is, straight away you can see why this can look so confusing and why this can look so complicated. So we start softly, then we increase the volume over here until there, and then that note we play softly again. There's another P there. Ta, do, da, dee, dee, da, dum, bum, bum. Do, dee, da, dee, dee, da, da, bum, bum. That's how it works. So start softly, increase the volumes, play it louder and louder and louder until you get to these notes, and then you play softly again. So on harmonica, again, sounds pretty much the same as when I'm singing it. Da, dee, da, dee, dee, da, da, dum, boom. So that's how you write dynamics into a piece of music. And again, this is of course increasing the volume. Then, but you can also decrease. So the arrow opens up, it goes bigger to that side. So start gently and then increase the volume. But of course, it can also work the other way around. If you start at an F, so forte, and then you decrease the volume, the arrow would point the other way around. So it starts big and then it ends up to a point there. This is how you can see that a piece of music that is completely written with dynamics can look incredibly confusing because it's all extra lines, arrows, letters, and etc, etc. But at the end of the day, all it is P is soft, F is forte, and anything in between. And again, do you have to take notice of these dynamics written in a piece of music? No, you don't need to. But at least now you know what not to look at, or if you decide to completely ignore the dynamics or the articulation, of course you can do that. You can play it in your own way. But at least you know what not to look at and what to ignore. And if it's all this confusing stuff is all there, what does it mean? And why am I not looking at it? Or, you know, why do I decide not to look at it? Or why do I... Maybe you can just start playing this piece and eventually think to yourself, hang on, let's have a look at the dynamics, see if I can, like I said, adding an extra dimension, make it a bit more interesting, this piece of music. And this is honestly where professional wind instrument players, or any instrument players really, add extra expression to their music. Unfortunately, we don't see this enough with harmonica players, because harmonica players tend to just play at a certain level and play everything at the same level. But you will be, honestly, you'll give a piece of music more depth and dimension, an extra dimension, if you actually decide to do something with these articulations and dynamics. And again, like I explained last time, some people, some composers or anything, they write their music full of articulation and dynamics. Other composers choose not to. If you look at, for instance, traditional music, traditional Scottish or Irish music, Celtic music or anything, you'll hardly ever find any dynamics or articulation in those, because that's up to you to decide how you play it. And of course, talking of Scottish music, you usually play together with other people. So, and when you play together, then it becomes a little bit more important what you do with it, how you play it, or add an extra dynamics and articulation. And of course, this is also a duet. So you play, there is a second line of music to it, which the second player plays. So you play this first part, and then there's another part to it, and that's the other player needs to read. So at the end of this, the link I'll put here in the description, I will put two links in actually. The first one with just the articulation and dynamics added, but exactly the same piece. And then the second link I'm going to put there also includes the second part. And of course, that just makes it incredibly complicated, because all of a sudden, instead of just one piece of sheet music like this, all of a sudden you get double the lines. There's full of arrows, letters, bows, dots, etc. Everything. And then all of a sudden you've got twice as many lines. What I need to explain about this is, if you got a piece with two lines, then those staves are connected to each other. Let me show you this. It's just an example. So if the staves are connected, so they're connected at the back, the bars go through to both lines and they're connected together at the beginning, that means they are played together at the same time. So that would be your first part on a harmonica, and this would be the second part for another player. If you play with someone else, then one line is for you to play and the other line is for your playing partner to play. So if you get this piece of music, and the second link in the description here in this video, and you see these double lines, then you know which part you're playing. So you either play this part or you play that part, but you can't play both. Makes it easier to sort of look through all this very confusing, lots of lines, dots, etc. So again, all the, this is a different piece, but I'm just using this as an example. So if the lines are connected, they are played together. So then you need to look at just your line. So say if you play part 1, then you look from here, this line, and from there you go straight to here. You don't look at this line at all. That's why I said in the beginning, when I just started on the subject of reading music, very often reading music is more about what not to read than it is about what you actually need to read. So I hope this takes away a bit of the mystery about written music. And again, this piece now looks quite simple, but I'm now going to add all the dynamics, and of course the articulation, and I'm also going to add the second part of this piece. So then you can download it again and again, try to read it. If you play part 1, of course feel free to play part 2, because it's all yours. So if you've got 2 players, or you know someone else who can read music, play it together, and it sounds absolutely, I can assure you, if you play this together and you play one part each, so one player plays this part, the other player plays the second part, it really is very, very nice, very interesting to listen to. Especially, of course, if you take notice of all the articulation and dynamics. That's why you need to, if you play this together with somebody, you need to really practice. And you need to figure out, hang on, I'm playing that too loud there because that doesn't sound right with this and that. So that's where your dynamics come in. It's also because Mozart was actually very good at writing duets, because the second part of this is actually sounds completely different. So it's a different sort of rhythm almost. Of course it isn't, because otherwise you couldn't play it together, but it's a completely different feel to it. So have a go. If you know someone else who you can play with, and it doesn't matter, doesn't have to be 2 harmonicas, it can be harmonica and a clarinet, or a harmonica and a recorder, or anything like that. It doesn't really matter. So go for it. I really hope you do, and I hope again that this helps to reduce all this mystery about, because when this is finished, and if you know, with both parts, all the articulation and dynamics added everywhere, then it really becomes one of those pieces of music that puts people off reading music altogether. And you print it all off and you look at it and you think, oh my goodness, what is this? But at least now you know what you're looking for, what not to look for, which is often even more important, how to actually navigate. So if these 2 lines are connected, you can see them at the back as well. So if these are connected, you go straight from there to there. You don't go from here to there, but you go to the next line, which is in that case this one. So that's basically a few secrets of reading music, all extra bits that make it look incredibly complicated, but actually it's just as simple as the basic stripped down version. So I hope this helps. And please leave your comments in the video here below. I'd really welcome your comments here. Thanks very much for watching. In my next video I am going to discuss, I'm going to move away from this piece of music, and I'm going to move to a different piece of music, of course, because some of you who are really into this will probably by now get fed up with this piece of music and think, give us something else. So I will, and it's going to be something completely different, very different actually. But again, before I do that, I need to do another video explaining a little bit about different rhythms, because the next piece of music is going to be a completely different rhythm. So the rhythm counts, they'll all be different, and I'll explain to you what these different rhythms are and how you can count them when you're playing, etc. So again, there's a lot more to come, and I'm going to continue this series. I have no idea how long for, but as long as I get something in my head that I want to discuss, there'll be another video. Thanks, and hopefully see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.